This is the future. Human error. Evolution.
Welcome, everyone, to Friday Night with Anthony White. I am Anthony White, the Orange Tie Guy, and I figured, I would start us off tonight with a little bit of the future from Max Braun. Love this song. Thought it was interesting because if you kind of listen to the lyrics, which are pretty much 4 or 5 words, it talks about human error, and revolution. One of the things that I've been kind of encapsulated with as of late is creating a video course, a dating course, and it's actually something that's still in process and in progress, but I need to just throw it out there. My purpose and intention for these videos on celestial dating is specifically just to give a concept, a mindset to be able to give perspective. That's what I do. I mean, as the Orange Tie Guy, I give people perspective. I had a friend gently yet boldly remind me that I may come across as a hater. I don't know what that means, but that I guess hate people or someone. And when she brought this to my attention, I'm thinking to myself, okay, oops. Apparently, maybe I'm just not portraying the message effectively, because I'm a passionate person. I'm someone who wants to share this information, who wants to get it out there, and to be able to really just improve people's lives. That's really what I want to do. I just want to help and serve and just give people perspective. I've taught seminary for years. I taught institute for years. I've been through the dating, the courtship, the engagement realm multiple times. I was married once, divorced once, and I'm back into that dating, courting, realm at the moment. And it's interesting because there's a lot of information that we never talk about. And when I say we, I'm talking about Latter-day Saints. I'm talking about just in general public. Parents don't teach their children these things, or at least mine didn't. I was, deprived of this information. And so because I'm aware of it, because it's become something that I'm, again, passionate about, and I just want to serve, I want to help, I want to give to others, I think it can come across as, like I said, I don't know if it would just be passionate, but that's pretty much what it is. I'm passionate. And I absolutely love the fact that I can share this information, but it's free information, right? So that means how many people are actually going to take this information and apply it to their life? And it kind of brings me to the topic of today. I know what I want, I think. And it's interesting because I don't think a lot of people know what they want. And that's a big issue. That's a big issue, is that people just don't know what they want. And because if they knew what they wanted, they would do it. They would go for it, right? Fear is that motivator that is universal, that is given to us when we were born, right? When we're born naked and alone, right? It's like when we come out of mom, it's the fact that, guess what? We're screaming and crying. We're cold and naked. We got no idea what's up or down, left or right. We can't even communicate anything like that except for screaming and crying, right? And I think this is why we, wrap babies into these swaddling, wraps and stuff, is because they're used to that tight fit. That's their comfort zone, right? Well, not to go in the longevity of this whole concept, I saw a post yesterday on one of the Facebook groups that I'm on, and she posted it yesterday at 6 in the morning, and she says, "I just want to be loved. Anyone else feel the same?" And she's got that little, emoji or whatever they are, pic, GIF, I don't know, things like that, image. Anyway, I thought about that, and I'm thinking to myself, that right there tells me a volume about this individual posting this. And it's interesting because I never really understood this until after my divorce, and I think that's why I needed to go through that trial and that process, if you will. Is that all in all, it's the idea that we need to heal. We need to know who we are first and foremost before we need to know what we want. I mean, if I'm an octopus, and someone says, "Hey, do you want to be in water?" No, why would I need water? You know, it's like I don't realize, no, my existence is there. I need water, right? People say, "Oh man, I want to go into space," right? And I saw this recent, again, a movie, and it's called The Astronaut Farmer, or yeah, The Astronaut Farmer, or something like that, or The Farmer Astronaut, or something like that. Anyway, Billy Bob Thornton is in it, and Bruce Willis, and it's interesting because this guy who basically was an astronaut going into the space program, and all of a sudden, he had his dad died, and he had to kind of take over that, so he stopped the space program, but he still wanted to go to space. He wanted to go to the moon and everything. Well, he built this rocket in his, barn and everything like that. And it's a drama story of, oh my goodness, the ups and downs. And are you going to shoot for your dreams? Yes or no? And all of these great things, right? But here's what's interesting is these movies, the reason why they're created, whether it's from Disney or somebody else or whoever it is, right? Pixar, all this stuff. It's all about hope. It's all about dreams. It's all about pursuing. If you really want it, you're going to go for it, right? And I think about this in the sense of the fact that when we go after something that's inanimate, meaning it doesn't have a choice, like, for example, money, right? I can't go up to money and say, "Hey, money, will you come join me?" and talk to it and be like, "Oh, well, I don't feel like coming and joining you," right? Like a person can, right? And even then, with people, if you understand it correctly, the law of attraction is powerful if you know what you want. Well, here's what's interesting. I've recognized through my ups and downs, ins and outs, just the perspective. And this is why I give people perspective, is that when we're beat down, when we're just like pummeled, right? When we're pushed down to the bottom and the depths, and it's super hard and it's frustrating, right? We want to give up. It's the fact that so many people do give up. They give in, right? They don't pursue their dreams. And it's almost like we have to keep reaching out and finding those people that say, simple enough, keep going. It's encouragers. That's why I'm a thought investment encourager, is because it's like, invest in your thinking. Because when everybody's left you, when they think you're a nut job and, that you're out of your brain cells because ultimately you're not getting any results right now, it's like, no, my desires, my dreams, my goals are still there. And I still want to go for it. And it's obviously sacrifice because you got to do something to get something. So, they say sacrifice brings blessings. 100%. 100% true, right? The idea of Nephi and Lehi, or just Lehi in and of himself, taking his family and nothing. Like, they didn't know how to build a boat. They didn't know how to sail. They didn't know any of this stuff. And it's like, and yet they went, a vision, a dream, this insight, divine calling from God, or just a drive, right? People like, successful people or famous people or whatever. Why did they get or where they were? Oh, well, a lot of streams of good luck. Not any one of them would tell you that, because people who are given things for free tend to be failures, meaning that if they're given it, they don't know the difference between sacrifice and receiving things for free. There was I think it's The Life of Dickie Roberts or something like that. It was a David Spade movie. And it was interesting because this Dickie Roberts, it's a stupid comedy, and it's one of those things where he was like a childhood star. And, he grew up in Hollywood and all this other stuff. And he didn't know how to grow up and be like a man, so to speak. Well, it's interesting because I think about that and how and where we are today. So many kids, so many men, even, I'm 40 years old, don't know how to live their life by themselves, if they've never, gone on a mission, if they've never gone away to college, had roommates, had responsibilities, if they're still at home, right? I mean, we have our ups and downs, right? We have those people to depend on or to rely on, but that's the problem, is that we know that we have that default, that reliance. Oh, I can rely on them, right? And so it's like, do I have to do this? I love books like Man's Search for Meaning, and the fact that Viktor Frankl had to go through a concentration camp. And yet, what did he want? He wanted to live. And so he fought every day as people were being germicided and just murdered, slaughtered in this terrible mentality and way. He was like, no, I'm going to fight in the sense of I'm going to live. Like, I'm going to do what I can. And, became a great, scientist after he was out and free and here in America. And it's interesting, writing that book. And I love the truth behind it of how you can forgive people and let go of it. People who were terrible to you, and how your healing and your process of growth is when you actually let go of it and you move forward. But what do I want? Or I know what I want. Well, here's what's interesting. A lot of people want a celestial relationship. But the question is, do you? Do you really want a celestial relationship? Because here's what I know. What I know is we have it laid out in front of us in the scriptures. We have prophets and apostles who give us content continually every 6 months to have celestial mentality, to become a celestial individual, and to have celestial relationships. And if we really wanted something like that, like a celestial marriage, a celestial relationship, wouldn't we do everything that's given to us to do that? Wouldn't we take every advantage or offering that was given to us? Whether it's a Sunday night to go to a fireside. Oh, well, my family's getting together. Yeah, well, that would be a sacrifice for sure. But is it worth it? And that's something you have to decide, right? If I'm putting out a book, right, and I say, hey, for this book, it's, $10, right, or $15 or whatever it is to pay for a book these days, right, depending on what it is, or shipping and handling or whatever. The question is it worth it? Well, they're just trying to sell me on this. Well, they're just trying to, yeah, well, welcome to every other person's mentality to justify where they are staying and not going. It's the same thing with courses. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on equipment, training, mentors, coaches, education, teaching, all of this stuff, right? Because I want what it will give me, or even the direction it'll lead me into. If it lets me veer, just off to the left to point me in a better direction as I'm traveling down that path, oh my goodness, it'd be so much better to be closer to it than to head in my straight course or not moving at all, and then years passing by. So with this, it's, I know what I want. Do you? There's this argument going on, and it's interesting because I kind of agree with it because it holds me accountable. And the reason why I agree with it is because it's one of those reality, checks. It's like, oh, wow. And it's like, yet I needed it, slap across the face, something. And it's interesting because what I realized is that when we are, I love the quote. It's, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I love that concept because it's true, in the sense of the same thing with like when an employee is ready, the job will be available. I don't know, will become, there, whatever it is, right? I remember in my younger years, and this is probably something that was good for me, but also bad for me. When I got a job and I was great at it. And then I kept getting promoted within, or other people from other companies would see me and say, "Hey, will you come work for me?" I never had a steady job, like one place to work. Because what I did is I went in, I did my job, I rocked it, and then after that, like somebody somewhere would say, "Hey, Anthony, do you want to come over here and do this? It's better pay and this." And I always was like, "Hey, I'm always for more money. That's good for me, right? Pay my bills and buy more junk food or whatever it is, right?" And it's it was a reality check when those weren't happening anymore, whether I just, became stagnant or comfortable, or just people didn't know where to find me, or maybe I quit a job because I was tired of it. And all of a sudden, it's like I have to create a resume. Like, I don't like doing that. I hate self promotion. Marketing is like my sin. It's like, I don't like it. I don't like doing it. In fact, like there's so many easy concepts out there that people keep talking to me about. Hey, you need to do this. You need to post like at least 10 to 20 times a day. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like people don't want to hear that kind of stuff from me. Like I could find good content because I don't want to create it. Like everything's out there, right? Google it, YouTube it, whatever, right? But it was interesting because when I recognized and identified for myself that when you are ready for something, meaning that you're prepared for it, or you want it, you're willing to sacrifice for it, then you'll get it. Now, it may not be instantaneous. Everybody's expecting a product, right? It's the fact that, I went out and paid for this and oh my goodness, I got a remote control for lights, or, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, they want that instant, right? Gratification. No, this is something that's got, like 8-week shipping time frame on it. You got to get ready for this. You got to do something. In fact, I shouldn't even say that. It's because it's technically you're paying just to get on the path, and then you got to walk the trusses and haul the lumber and whatever, metaphor you want to put it. You got to put in more work. It's not just paying for it, except in certain scenarios. Don't get me wrong. There are those scenarios where a guy or a girl, if they've got hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend on a matchmaker kind of a thing. But guess what? Even when you've got a matchmaker and they set you up with people, or you got friends or people setting you up, you still got to put in the work. This isn't just like hey, I just bought a servant, or I just got somebody to, do all of my bidding for the rest of my life. No, this is you putting in that effort. So here's what's the reality check that I wanted to put in. This concept of this sister who wrote that, I just want to be loved. Anyone else feel the same? It's interesting how many people, and it seems like this is always the case, and this is where the optimism comes into play, is the fact that they want to share their troubles and their sorrows and everything. But is that attractive? Other people can be receptive, right? They can reply to your feed. So let's say I post, I just want to be loved. Anyone else feel the same? And then, first off, I don't know if that's optimistic. It's more of like hey, I'm down here feeling sorry for myself. Anybody else want to come wallow in this with me? And it's like, do I? And receptive people are like, hey, I'm in the same boat as you, sister or brother. I'm there. And it's maybe attractive to other people that are in the wallows. And if that's really what you want, which I know for a fact with everybody, it's not. It's not attractive in the long run, right? In the marathon, that sprint, that Everest, climbing that journey. People don't want that. They're happy to kind of have that patchwork done, kind of in that sense of, I'm feeling this way too, or, this is where I'm at. Great, empathize and, encourage and say, hey, we're good. Let's do this. And I can tell you very few may join you on that road to progression. So it's being where you are, accepting and loving yourself, and saying, you know what? I'm feeling down right now, but I got high hopes. I'm looking forward. I'm looking up. I'm excited. And it's interesting because when you know what you want, you'll find it. I'll give you a scenario. I see Lisa, okay? I see Lisa, and she's bright and energetic and happy and enthusiastic, and she's attractive for sure. And I see her, and I want to go talk to her and be with her and be around her and stuff, yet I unconsciously or subconsciously feel, well, I'm not optimistic, and I'm not, a go getter, and I don't want her to think that I'm not. And so, guess what? And I don't do anything. I do nothing. Well, just missed out on that one, right? And let's say I see Sarah, right? And Sarah is kind of like in that, wallowing, like, yeah, life's kind of crappy right now, kind of a thing. If I'm on a higher level, I may want to, hey, let me help you up here, right? But she may not want to come. And it could be one of those things where she's just chilling down there. I may see John, right? John is on that level, and he's like, hey, dude, what's up? And it's like super outgoing, optimistic, or whatever, or just, happy, smile on his face. And I'm like, hey, and maybe he kind of helps me temporarily. But it's always going to go back to you when you're by yourself. Where are you emotionally, mentally, when you're by yourself? Where are you? Are you in that optimistic side? Are you in that positive side? Are you in that good side? Or are you going to go back to that, I just want to be loved? Anyone else feel the same mentality? So again, this concept, I know what I want. Do you? This is where it's good to make that self-evaluation, because what you want is where you are. That's typically what it is. Or let me take that back. Where you are is what you'll get. That's what it is. Where you are mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, that's what you'll get. And it's interesting because it's just a reality check, right? And my friend will probably say, hey, dude, this was a total downer. I hope not. What I want to do is I want to end in this, because 22 minutes, people probably are like, whoa, man, this is like too much information. I need to find other people so I can have these conversations with them and say, here's where I'm at. What do you think? I need to spruce up my office and, video spacing area so we can have nice face-to-face conversations with people, or even over the phone. That would be kind of fun. All in due time, right? But it's a recognition. It's a reality check to be able to say, hey, I know what I want, and I'm going to become that. Because like attracts like. Light to light, virtue to virtue, justice to justice, mercy to mercy. We're going to attract that. And so if you're happy, if you're optimistic, if you're one who is very, yeah, I'm good where I'm at. I'm really good. I'm happy right here. Is it going to take sacrifice? Absolutely. You're going to have to stop eating those, Oreos, and, you're going to have to stop eating, for me, maybe it's nerds. I came across a terrible addiction as of late because of Easter. It's like nerds covered on a little jelly bean kind of a thing. And I was like, oh, darn it. Got to stop doing those. But it's, again, we say, hey, I'm going to sacrifice. I'm going to eat less. I'm going to work more, or work out more, exercise more, or put more into this trick or trade or whatever it is. Maybe it's being social, right? That's a sacrifice for people that are afraid. I got to tell you, tons of people do not talk to other people because they're afraid. They're afraid of rejection, of this and this and this, and fear is the great motivator, but it's putting that off, casting off that natural man and natural woman that's afraid, right? The fight or flight mentality, and saying, you know what? I'm going to be vulnerable and sincere. I'm going to be transparent and authentic and genuine. Yeah, I'm going to be that. And it's just saying, yeah, does that going to be a sacrifice? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know a lot of people that I've worked with over the years that huge sacrifice. In fact, it was like, you know what? I'll pay you $500 more just to drop that. Nope. You got to face it. You got to sacrifice. Whether it's time, whether it's money, whether it's mentality, whether it's sleep, because sometimes maybe you got to force yourself to go to bed earlier, right? Get up earlier. Maybe it's the idea of when somebody gives you an easy offer and you're in a routine, it's like, nope, I'm going to do something different. Instead of, watching Disney Plus or whatever it is, it's like, no, I'm going to go out and spend some time with some people. Maybe FaceTime them, right? Maybe, do this, have a conversation via Facebook or whatever, or YouTube. Well, I don't know. You can't really have a conversation on YouTube. Zoom, right? It's the idea of going out there and making the sacrifice. Because if you know what you want, if you really know what you want, you would do it. You would make the sacrifice. Because I know most everyone who has not given up. In fact, I would venture to say everyone, but I don't know the statistics and I don't care to. But the dream itself is that never give up, never surrender, right? It's this idea of if you continue to push forward toward what you want, to get that dream, to have that goal, to obtain that, to see it, to have it, to own it. If you really want it, you'll invest the time. You'll put in more hours at work. You'll get a second job or a third job if you want to pay for that, if you want that thing. If you want that person or that place, you'll sacrifice the time and energy to, invest in getting to know that person or improving yourself, right? If you want to really be that strong individual, that masculine man or feminine woman, you'll pay for those, coaches and mentors or courses, right? Because there's plenty of stuff online, coursework that you could do. You would do it. You would do it and make that sacrifice. I remember I had this $1,000, course, and I had no money, none, absolutely none. And it was like, how bad do you want this? And that was true for me. How bad do I want the information to help me on that course? And you know what I did? I paid it. I found a way. I whether it was sacrificing on paying for food here, and I started eating, I would say, I don't know if it was chips and salsa, but something cheap, ramen noodles, a cup of noodles every day, whatever it was. I was saying to myself, you know what? I want it that bad that I'm willing to eat, this processed stuff for a long time in order for me to be able to have this. Sacrifice. If you want it, you'll get it. You'll find a way. You'll ask others. You'll get perspective. You'll invest more time. You won't give up. You'll get it done if you really want it. So, the perspective today, I know what I want, I think. We'll find out. Do you really want it? How worth it is it to you? And if it's worth everything or most everything, then you'll spend that time, you'll invest in that. You'll spend that money, you'll invest. I'm Anthony White, the Orange Tie Guy, and I hope this was beneficial to help you to know what you want.